Imagine climbing into your fighter, knowing that almost every encounter could be your last. Now imagine looking across the Pacific sky in 1944 and spotting an American Grumman F6F Hellcat closing in. For many Japanese pilots, that moment meant the odds had suddenly turned against them. In just 2 years of combat, the Hellcat destroyed more than 5,000 enemy aircraft and achieved one of the highest air-to-air victory ratios of the Second World War. It wasn't the fastest fighter ever built, and it wasn't the most elegant, yet it became the undisputed king of the Pacific skies. So how did one rugged aircraft transform America's air war and earn the respect and fear of its enemies? The answer is even more remarkable than the numbers suggest. When the United States entered World War II after the attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941, the Pacific War presented a unique challenge. Japan's Mitsubishi A6M Zero had shocked Allied pilots with its incredible agility and long range. Early American fighters struggled to keep up in turning battles, and inexperienced pilots often paid the price. The U.S. Navy urgently needed a fighter that could survive brutal carrier operations while outperforming the Zero in real combat. Grumman aircraft had already produced the capable F-4 Wildcat, but its engineers knew something far better was needed. Development of the F6F Hellcat accelerated in 1942, with lessons learned directly from combat reports. Instead of trying to outturn the Zero, Grumman designed a fighter that emphasized speed, protection, firepower, and reliability. It would allow American pilots to fight on their own terms rather than the enemy's. The result was a machine that looked larger and heavier than its Japanese rival, but appearances were deceiving. Underneath its sturdy frame was one of the most effective naval fighters ever built. Nobody yet realized just how dramatically it would reshape the air war over the Pacific. The heart of the Hellcat was its powerful Pratt & Whitney R2800 double wasp radial engine, producing around 2,000 horsepower. That enormous engine pushed the aircraft to speeds approaching 380 miles per hour, while giving it excellent climbing performance. More importantly, it provided the raw power needed to recover from dangerous dives and carry heavy combat loads. Unlike the lightweight Zero, the Hellcat was built to absorb punishment. Armor protected the pilot, self-sealing fuel tanks reduced the risk of catastrophic fires, and its rugged construction allowed many aircraft to return home riddled with bullet holes. Pilots often joked that a Hellcat could survive damage that would destroy almost any other fighter. Its firepower was equally intimidating. 6.50 caliber Browning machine guns filled the sky with devastating streams of bullets. Later versions could also carry rockets and bombs, allowing the Hellcat to attack enemy ships, airfields, and ground positions after winning control of the skies. But that wasn't even its greatest advantage. The Hellcat entered combat in 1943, and almost immediately American pilots discovered that disciplined tactics mattered more than tight turning contests. Instead of trying to match the Zero's agility, Hellcat pilots used superior speed, diving ability, and teamwork. They attacked from advantageous positions, delivered overwhelming firepower, then climbed away before Japanese fighters could respond. The enemy quickly realized they were facing something very different. One of the aircraft's defining moments came during the Battle of the Philippine Sea in June 1944. Japan launched hundreds of carrier aircraft, hoping to cripple the advancing U.S. fleet. Instead, well-trained American pilots flying Hellcats intercepted wave after wave of attackers long before they reached their targets. What happened next shocked everyone. American fighters destroyed Japanese aircraft in such overwhelming numbers that the battle became famously known as the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot. More than 300 Japanese aircraft were lost during the air battle, while U.S. losses remained comparatively low. the Imperial Japanese Navy's carrier aviation arm never truly recovered.
Yet the Hellcat's success wasn't simply about better machinery. By 1944, American pilot training had improved dramatically, while Japan struggled to replace experienced aviators lost earlier in the war. Veteran Hellcat pilots often entered combat with superior tactics, better communication, radar support from their carriers, and increasingly effective coordination with the fleet. The aircraft amplified these advantages instead of depending solely on them. Even more surprising was how forgiving the Hellcat proved to be. Carrier landings were among the most dangerous tasks in aviation. Pilots had to land on moving ships in rough seas with almost no room for error. The Hellcat's stable handling gave many young naval aviators a better chance of surviving both combat and carrier operations. Its versatility also made it invaluable. Hellcats escorted bombers, defended fleets from enemy attacks, strafed airfields, destroyed shipping, and provided close air support for Marines fighting across Pacific islands. Whether over the Philippines, Iwo Jima, Okinawa, or countless smaller islands, the aircraft repeatedly proved it could perform almost any mission assigned to it. There were weaknesses, of course. The Hellcat was larger and less agile than the Zero in slow-turning fights. Skilled Japanese pilots could still exploit that advantage if American aviators made tactical mistakes. But experienced Hellcat pilots understood they didn't need to fight the Zero on its terms. They relied on altitude, speed, and disciplined teamwork, turning the Hellcat's strengths into decisive advantages. By the end of the war, approximately 12,000 Hellcats had been built. They were credited with destroying more than 5,200 enemy aircraft in air-to-air combat, while achieving an extraordinary kill ratio of roughly 19-1. Numerous American aces, including David McCampbell, scored many of their victories flying the Hellcat. McCampbell alone became the U.S. Navy's highest-scoring ace, recording 34 aerial victories, most of them in this remarkable fighter. The numbers were astonishing, but behind every statistic stood pilots who trusted the Hellcat to bring them home. Many later credited the aircraft's toughness with saving their lives after sustaining severe combat damage. The Hellcat didn't merely win dogfights, it helped secure Allied control of the Pacific skies during the final years of World War II. With air superiority established, American carrier task forces could strike Japanese shipping, support amphibious invasions, and isolate enemy-held islands with increasing effectiveness. Every successful campaign depended on controlling the air first, and the Hellcat became one of the Navy's greatest tools for achieving that goal. Its influence extended beyond the war itself. The aircraft demonstrated that survivability, reliability, pilot protection, and intelligent tactics could be just as important as raw maneuverability. Future naval fighters would continue emphasizing balanced performance rather than chasing a single advantage. Today, historians remember the F6F Hellcat not because it looked dramatic or revolutionary, but because it consistently delivered results when everything depended on success. It became one of the greatest carrier-based fighters ever built and played a decisive role in defeating Japanese naval aviation. The F6F Hellcat proved that wars are often won not by the flashiest machines, but by the ones that combine smart engineering with skilled pilots and effective strategy. It entered the Pacific when America desperately needed an answer to Japanese air power and left as one of the most successful fighters in military history. Thousands of victories, countless lives saved, and a legacy that still inspires aviation enthusiasts today. All began with one rugged aircraft built to do its job better than anyone expected. Would you have trusted your life to the F6F Hellcat during one of history's most dangerous air wars? And which legendary World War II aircraft should we explore next? If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more incredible World War II history.